Taylor Swift gives bonuses totaling more than $55 million to Eras Tour crew collaborators, which I stumbled upon this and I thought this was like a super amazing article. So let's check it out. So the gifts were recently doled out to truckers, dancers, riggers, sound technicians, catering staff, and more. So call it an era of generosity. Taylor Swift, currently on the road with her blockbuster, record breaking Eras tour, is spreading the wealth from the successful sold out run by offering bonuses to those who worked on the show. The gifts total more than $55 million and were recently doled out to crew and collaborators, including truckers, dancers, riggers, sound technicians, catering staff, and more. So the news was first reported by TMZ, which revealed that truckers received $100,000 ahead of last week's concert stop in Santa Clara, California. People followed up with a report that the extra cash went to all the key Eras Tour staffers. So, in an interview with CNN published on Wednesday, Michael Schirkenbach, founder and CEO of Denver-based ShowMotion, said that the bonuses are well beyond what truckers in his line of work usually receive from performers. The typical amount is $5,000 to $10,000 each. So this large amount is unbelievable, Schirkenbach said, calling it a life-changing sum. He declined to specify how many on his staff received the gifts, though he indicated it was nearly 50 truckers between his company and another transportation firm under the employ of Eras Tour, right? And so to put into perspective, right? So let's say nearly 50 truckers, right? So 50 truckers times $100,000, right? So that's like 5 million right then and there, right? Not to mention all the extra people that were working and stuff. So like, can you imagine you were thinking that you were probably going to be making like 5 grand, maybe 10 grand, and the thing is like, okay, so, well, I mean, let's just say this. Hold on. So it was what 24 weeks, I believe it said. What was it? Oh, 24 weeks. Okay, so they were gone from their home. The truckers and whatnot were gone from the home for 24 weeks, right? So let's do $10,000 divided by 24. That means typically every week they were going to make like $416. Like, let's just say that, right? So instead of that, they get 100 grand basically thick, juicy tip, right? And this type of money is massive because it is truly life changing. Like, this amount of money can literally change someone from being in debt to debt free with an emergency fund to basically being able to retire depending on their specific financial situation to potentially being like, oh, like, you know what? I have enough money now that maybe my partner, wife, whatever, right, might not have to work a full time job now and they could just stay at home and take care of the kids if you got kids. It could be a situation where, like, oh, now my kids' colleges are taken care of, or their trade schools are taken care of. Like, individually speaking, like $100,000 itself is not really anything in the form of how much money Taylor Swift has or can make. But for like these truckers, for these employees, these workers, like, you could change like this generosity of hers can literally change their like the rest of their lives, which is like a pretty crazy thing to think about. Because you could literally, like, she might have potentially saved people's lives by just literally doing this. Because perhaps there were some workers that were like barely making it, living paycheck to paycheck, like banging their head against the wall, thinking that there's no hope for the future, all that sort of stuff. It might be like in a complete total depression. And who knows, maybe thinking about just ending it, and then gets this massive like act of generosity where they're like, oh wow, there's actually hope in life now. So, who knows how big of an impact this is actually going to make? Because the crazy thing about this is like, it's not just the fact that she's changing the lives of the people that she literally gave the money to, but it's also the family members that they're connected to. It's the friends that they're connected to. It's all the loved ones that are connected to them. And then also who they might end up, you know, impacting later down on the line. Like, it's a pretty cool thing to see because sadly, you typically don't really see this type of behavior from these massive mega celebrities that make crazy, crazy amounts of money, right? I mean, just recently was the whole Lizzo fiasco with the bananas and the vagina, like absolutely crazy, like treating your employees like crap, weight shaming them, and then you have Taylor Swift be like, you know what? I'm just going to give everyone 100K. Like, it's pretty crazy when you really think about it. It's an amazing thing, and I wish more people in her similar position where they make ungodly amounts of money and have ungodly amounts of money to their name already, like just do awesome stuff like this. Like, this is just so cool to see. So these men and women, they live on the road, they sleep during the day, and work all night. It's a grueling task, he told CNN. They leave their families, young children for weeks. For Taylor's tour, they've been away from home for 24 weeks, he revealed. Swift's father, Scott Swift, broke the news to the crews on Monday during a surprise visit. The gifts arrived as Swift prepared to close out the U.S. leg of the tour, which began in March in Arizona. However, today Swift announced additional dates for the stadium tour, including 15 more shows in four North American cities, including Miami. New Orleans, Indianapolis, and Toronto. Turns out it's not the end of an era. Swift posted today of the dates, along with a reveal that singer-songwriter Gracie Abrams is also booked for those dates. The 3-hour marathon shows find the singer-songwriter revisiting the various eras of her career via a 44-song setlist. She's now in LA with a record-breaking run set for SoFi Stadium in Inglewood that kicks off tonight and continues August 4th. 5, 7, 8, and 9, and on deck are dates in Mexico, Argentina, and Brazil. So, feel free to give your thoughts on this. I just think it is such a cool thing when someone has a massive following, massive amounts of money, and they are willing to be this generous to other human beings. Like, it's just a cool thing because it just spreads it, right? Like, her following is humongous. She probably has like crazy, crazy fans, and if they see someone like this that they look up to or that they, who knows, might love or whatever, it's a pretty awesome thing. Because now they're probably going to be way more inclined to maybe be slightly better to another human being, or like, who knows, maybe like a kid will see this and like grow up and like, you know what, I want to be able to be in a position where I could just take care of someone like this or do something nice to people like this. Like, that would be a cool thing in terms of like the outcome long term from this, because you never know what like these types of like very humongous like gestures of generosity actually does later down the line, right? Because all it takes is like one person to do one thing once, and it can like literally stick with people for pretty much ever. So, who knows?